September 3rd, 2024 morning session of the Johnston County Board of Commissioners to order, and welcome all of you who are here in person. It's good to see another full crowd. Also welcome those who are watching on our YouTube live stream. Welcome to you as well. As is customary, as is customary, I talk about our board priorities. That's about to jump on to the next one. But 3 years ago, we established 6 board priorities and have reaffirmed those each of the last 2 years. And I think you will hear a majority of these as we go through this morning session, and you'll hear the rest of them in our evening session. But they are educational funding, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and our county employees. Now we will continue on as is customary with our invocation. I've called on Commissioner Stevens to lead us in the invocation, and the pledge today will be led by VFW Post 5886 out of Smithfield. So choose to rise. Please stand for the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts this morning. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our community and for the wisdom and guidance you provide. As we gather today, we ask for your presence to lead our discussions, grant us discernment in our decisions, and unite us in purpose for the betterment of Johnston County. May we be guided by integrity, compassion, and a spirit of service. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Place the flag, please. Who is hut? Present harm. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What up? Harm. Left pace.
If y'all gentlemen would stay, we're going to do a green light proclamation. So if you would please, everybody else can please sit, and we're going to run through that. Commissioner Godwin is going to present that for us.
This is a resolution supporting the Operation Green Light for veterans. Whereas the residents of Johnston County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Johnston County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all, and whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the various veteran service organizations, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future, and whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Green Light for veterans. And whereas Johnston County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Now therefore be it resolved, with designation as a Green Light for Veterans County, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2024, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service, and be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Green Light, Johnston County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence, and further encourages all municipalities within Johnston County to display green lighting wherever possible at public meetings. Adopted this 3rd day of September 2024. Mr. Chairman, I make that in the form of a motion.
Have a second?
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'll say one thing, Mr. Chairman. We started doing this, I think this is our third year, and we've seen an increase in participation each year. And we encourage everybody in the municipalities and in the county to display a green light during that time frame. People notice it, and it brings attention to the fact that we are indebted to our veterans. Thank you.
All right, and I agree. I think there are several municipalities who are probably passing a similar resolution. And I did want to say a special thanks to our three veterans, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Godwin, and Commissioner Stevens, and thank them for their service to our country. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right. Next, we have approval of the rest of the agenda. A little forward there. So is there any need to change or add any items to this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Agenda's approved. Next up, we have the consent agenda items. We have 8 today. They're approval of our August 5th meeting minutes, both the morning and afternoon, in addition to the DOT system. We also have a proclamation for 2024 Fall Litter Sweep, which is the September 14th through the 28th. We also have a reappointment of our county tax administrator, Jocelyn Andrews, and we have a surplus donation of handheld portable radios for 911 communication emergency services to Johnston Community College. We also have 4 budget revisions for the health department, for the jail, sheriff's department, and social services. And we have appointments to the hospital Board of Commissioners. David Mills and Dr. Marilyn Pearson had been nominated by this committee, this board, and then sent to the hospital authority who approve those recommendations, and so they will be appointed to the hospital authority board. We also have our tax releases and refunds for July 16th through August the 15th. Is there any item that we need to discuss further?
Mr. Chairman, I move the consent agenda be approved.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The consent agenda is approved. Next up, we have public comments, and this is for any member of the audience to address an item that is not currently on the agenda, and you have 3 minutes to come forward. And if you would, when you come forward, state your name and then give us your town or township. Is there anyone here to speak to any item not already on the agenda? All right, Madam Clerk, any emails? Okay. All right, then we will move on to public hearing for a closeout of the CDBG CV grant. I will now open the public hearing and call on Skip Green to come forward. Morning.
Morning.
The Community Development Block Grant Program requires several public hearings. This is the last as far as for the closeout. Just going to quickly go over as far as what the grant resulted in, and then we'll open up for any public comments. And once the public hearing there's no formal action as far as required from the board. Johnston County received a $900,000 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant as a result of COVID. This grant was administered with coordination between the Finance Department and Social Services. The project resulted in 72 qualified households received assistance for payments that were made to 59 landlords. There was a mortgage assistance. It was 104 households received assistance that was made to 39 mortgage companies. Under the utility assistance portion of it, there were 259 households received assistance with payment made to 20 utility providers. The way the program was set up was that the payments were made directly to the utility providers. And again, all these activities are complete. I guess we can now open up to any comments from the citizens, and then after that from the.
Any questions for Mr. Green before he steps away? All right, any members of the audience wish to speak to this issue? All right, any questions by the commissioners?
I would like to say something, Mr. Chairman. I know when I was chairman, Skip Green was instrumental in helping us in a lot of ways with these grants, and he's been a valuable team member in making these things happen. We appreciate it, Skip.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah, I would concur with that. He's helped many local governments in Johnston County for many years, and thank you for.
Feeling is mutual. It's a wonderful group to work with. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He's like a guide in the jungle.
Yes, yes. All right, I will now close the public hearing, and that is all the action that we need to take on this item. So next up, we will have Lynn Andrews, the chair of the Johnston County Public Schools, to come forward and make a presentation to us on, I think, on the bond and the other things going on with the public schools.
Oh, yes, we're excited. We're in day 5 today, so we're excited. Chairman Lauder and Vice Chair Harris, it's always nice to be before you. I'm honored to be in your presence. I wanted to share a little information with you about our upcoming 2024 bond. I know you're aware of it, but just wanted to give you a little update. I did have it. Did they get the hand? Okay. You should have a sheet that looks like this. That is the contents of the 2024 bond, but let me back up just a minute. And if you remember the 2022 bond, $177 million. I just wanted to give you an update. Many of you are aware of this because you've been involved in our activities that have started this. But Cooper Academy was part of that. An extension to Cooper Academy was part of the 2022 bond. A new Swift Creek Elementary School was part of the 2022 bond. And a Wilson Mills High School was part of the 2020 bond. And dirt is being turned on every site. We are well on our way. We actually have a topping out ceremony at Swift Creek Elementary on Monday, next Monday. Is that correct? Yeah. So we're going to sign that top beam. Our students are going to come and sign that top beam, and we're going to put it up. And that school is scheduled to open in the fall of 2025. Also, due to your generosity, the footings have been poured at Cleveland High School. If you remember that you allocated money for an extension to that building, the dirt is turning on that one. So my point for saying this is to say that we are grateful for your assistance and your support, and we plan on making everything that we can happen in a timely manner because we are in a situation where we need these projects to take place. So, big shout out to our staff, Brooks Moore and his staff, Dr. David Pierce and their staff for getting this going and being here. So I do want to thank you for that. Also, before I get started on 2024 bond, I want to just give you a quick update. We are beginning the redistricting process in our school system. We have had one meeting. We will get more information. We just had our agenda review. We'll get some more information next Tuesday night. But we are redrawing some of the lines of our schools in order to balance our enrollment. And there's no better time to do this than when you open schools. So we will redraw lines that will affect our elementary schools, and that will happen in the fall of 2025. We also are redrawing lines that will affect the new high school, certainly subsequent high schools around that area. That will go into effect in 2026. But we feel certain that with this redistricting, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not always a popular thing to do. But with this redistricting, we will balance our enrollment in many of our schools, which is something that we have had that discussion with you before. And with all of this, we're excited about the removal of mobile units in our school system. We have 70, about 70 right now, that with the Cleveland addition, with the new elementary school, and certainly the new high school that's a little down the road, we'll be able to remove quite a bit. Dr. Pierce and his staff already have the plans in place. One of the issues we run into is only 2 companies that remove mobile units. So the timing of that, we're working on it right now. But they're actually working with Cleveland High School right now to see if we can start taking some of those out in the spring. But I'll come back with you more about that. But I just want you to know that with the funding and with the confidence that you have showed in us, we are trying to move forward. Okay, 2024 bond, you have a copy of it there in your hand. We're excited that that we have in this opportunity that you have supported with your vote of confidence. You can see there's no new schools being built, and because we feel that perhaps the best avenue to take was to add additions to some of our existing schools, increasing capacity at those schools, and also renovating some of our present schools. So you can see in this, it's sort of a list there, but you can, and I'll just briefly go through it. You certainly can read this on your own. But I think you can see our commitment to expanding some of our current schools, which is less expensive than building a school. And we have the land to do it at these particular sites, and it gets these schools where they won't be tremendously large schools, and also using some funds to fix up the schools we already have. So you can see on this chart, the extensions to schools will be Thanksgiving Elementary. It's hard to believe we're adding to Thanksgiving. We just opened that school a few years ago, but we're adding 6 classrooms, which would increase its capacity by 120 students. There are no mobile units at Thanksgiving yet, but there will be if we don't add to it. So this eliminates that potential thing. Carter Elementary, we're adding 13 classrooms. That's going to increase the capacity there by about 242 students. We're adding an addition to Wilson's Mills. Wilson Mills is a school that's been open for many, many years, and we're adding 18 classrooms, somewhere around 18 to 20 classrooms there. That's the capacity of an additional 328 students. McGee's Elementary, 12 classrooms. Increasing that capacity will be a rather large elementary school, be about 1,000 students, I believe, when we add that classroom, which will be 190 more students than they, not more students than they currently have, but the capacity to have in-house 190 students. So my point of that is to say that with this bond, we're able to add 49 more classrooms to our schools, which would have a capacity of about 800, over 800 students. So that helps us. That helps us to house those students inside brick and mortar buildings. Then you can see the renovations. They're happening at Four Oaks Elementary, Cleveland Elementary, South Smithfield, which will replace a building that was built in the 1950s, a wing of that building, not the whole school. North Johnston High School will receive some renovations, and East Clayton will receive. And you can see that on your chart. I'll be happy to answer any questions. One of the big things that you probably have heard in the news, I know Wake County's dealing with this, we have dealt with it, is HVAC systems. I think Dr. Pierce spoke to you about our capital needs back in the spring and reminded you that, you know, many of our HVAC systems were built to really work 15, 20, 25 years, and some of them are going well past that. So part of this bond will help to renovate HVAC systems, to upgrade HVAC systems. And along with renovations, when you hear the word renovation there, you certainly could see that that's carpentry, that's toilets, that's sinks, that's paint. That's those things inside. It could be some furniture, although we're actually voting next Tuesday night to spend some of our funds that you allocated to us for some new furniture in certain parts of our school. But renovating, putting LED lights in. You know, the older schools don't have the LED lights. It makes a huge difference in a classroom. So this bond and these renovations helps these things to take place. So. And then we'll have some small-scale HVAC renovations taking place at some of our schools. They call them fan cool units. I'm not an HVAC person. I don't understand all that. But some of this funding will go for those items at McGee's Elementary and Glendale Kinley. You'll also see on there one other item would be the fire panels at 6 of our schools. And these would be, those 6 schools I think are listed there. You can see what they are. But that would help to upgrade our main system control panels for our fire alarms, which, as you well know, are so very necessary. We begin the push for this bond. Our Citizens Bond Committee has already met. They're meeting again next week. We joined Johnston Community College in our effort to get this bond passed. They are part of this meetings that we're having. We're going to have our first big meeting on September 24th at Selma Elementary in the auditorium at 7 o'clock, and that's going to be a community meeting. We will have meetings around the areas to encourage our citizens to come ask questions and learn more about what this bond is about. But we're very excited about it. Do you have any questions about the bond? Let me ask that. I know I talk fast.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
And this is probably not a fair question because it gets in the weeds a little bit. But the Thanksgiving Elementary, I know it's a fairly new school. 6 classrooms. Is there any other addition other than those 6 classrooms? I mean, that works out to be $825,000 per classroom.
I'd have to ask Brooks Moore to answer to that. That's just the cost of adding those 6 classrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, it's expensive. Building is expensive.
I have a question, Lynn. When y'all designed these schools, I noticed a problem that I'd never really realized before. In today's world, moms carry the kids to school and pick them up. School buses are almost not even used in a lot of places. But
do we take into consideration the backlog of traffic that will take on when you add classrooms or you add, because I know that's a tremendous, I talked with Dr. Pearson in the Four Oaks area. There's about 1,200 students in that school, I think, and the biggest problem there for lots of the residents in Four Oaks, 3 to 4, 5 o'clock, it's hard for them to get in and out of their driveway
Right.
because the moms are waiting in line to pick up their kids.
Right.
So has that been considered in these new?
Oh, yes, and these buildings would not take place where that would make that worse. I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it also increases the capacity for some of our schools. Some of these these extensions are going to take the place of mobile units. But like in Thanksgiving, there's no mobile units, but we know they're coming. So that's why we're adding this, because Thanksgiving is requesting mobile units right now. They're putting teachers on carts and stuff like that, I think, to postpone that. But you're certainly right, and Riverwood has the same issue.
Yes.
I mean, there's several of our schools, Polenta has that long driveway, but they can still get out on the road.
Yeah.
And you know, what's interesting, though, and I don't have the facts for this year, but last year, we had more children riding buses than ever before. But at the same time, you have a lot of parents who drop off and pick up their students, which is a parent choice. But I think the whole idea here is 37,000 students getting in and out.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right. It is it's a lot of congestion on our roads. And I can imagine in our municipalities it's even worse, because I know at Pine Level, they're backed up all the way to 70 to get to Pine Level Elementary School. So I can assure you that's continuing to be looked at. And we've done some studies on some of them, but I'm not sure exactly what the result of the study was. But I can certainly find out. But thank you for bringing it up, because it is an issue.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the bond?
Madam Chairman, the additions at Wilson Mills Elementary, will that eliminate modular units there?
Eliminate mobile units?
Yes.
Yes, and see, they have quite a few there right now. That school, I think, was built for a capacity of 500 students, 570 students. I was PTA president the year it opened. But now we're going to expand it to 800 kids, because we need it. But they have quite a few mobile units there. The key with Wilson Mills right now is, and when we get to the design part, is do you want to connect the buildings? But they got land, but the connection between if you're familiar with Wilson's Mills, between the building and the gym.
My son went to Wilson
Yeah,
Mills.
okay, well, you
20 years
understand
ago.
that. So I'm not sure exactly where the extension, but Wilson's Mills desperately needs this addition. And also, if you'll note, I know it's at Wilson's Mills and at McGee's, when we make schools bigger, you have to make cafeterias bigger. Because once the capacity, and you think, well, you already got the kids there, but once you put brick and mortar bigger, you've got to go in and expand the cafeteria, so you can see that that's part of it. That's part of that additional cost. So, any more questions about that? I cannot express to you how grateful I am to all of you for your vote of confidence in this bond, and I ask for your support. I feel like you do support it. We want the citizens to support it. We can do a lot of things with this. Now, let me step back for just a second, because I do not want to be forgotten about Clayton High School. And is it okay for me just to we're in the process.
That was on my list, so you
Okay.
can go ahead.
Well,
yeah.
and Brooks can come up here and explain, but we are in the process of the design of the study for Clayton High School, because Clayton High School will not be left out in this. And of course, you have made a commitment by pulling that out. I hope I'm not saying something I'm not supposed to be saying, but we are actively pursuing, because that needs to happen at the same time that all of this is happening. So, Brooks, the design, I think the first meeting is Thursday. Yes, with the study group to determine, they've been out there, they've looked, as you well know, for Clayton High School, it is rebuild there. And there was some talk about building somewhere else, but the study group has started. They are meeting this week to begin this process, and then obviously they would move forward with the design.
Yeah, I think that was, this board's concern was if we kept it there and we ran into some unanticipated problem, and then we were in the middle of a project and stuck. So I appreciate the fact that we're moving
And they've already
along.
they've done some preliminary work on this, but they're meeting Thursday. We welcome any of you to be a part of this and to have input into this. But I think you're right. We don't want to get too far down the road and then say, oh, wait a minute, this won't work. But we're excited. And you know, the reason I started this presentation to try to tell you how we're doing everything that's 2022, we're doing it right now. And it's just been 2 years. And this is our commitment to work with you, that when you allocate funds for us, we're not sitting on those things, we're going for it. And because these things are all important to our citizens in Johnston County, wherever you are. It's important that we show them the citizens that we're addressing your concerns in your area.
I did have one just question to, and I know you've talked about it, mobile unit reductions, and I know we're like 186-ish
I think
now.
we're- yeah.
What are we looking at by the time, if this,
Oh, man,
when
I
this
knew you were
bond
gonna-
program is complete? I want to say it's taken out 120, but I don't remember.
It probably would be that many.
Well, that's with redistricting.
Right. With redistricting and this, and 2024, along with the Cleveland High addition, the 2022 bond, we should be well on our way to eliminating our mobile units. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that there's not going to be any mobile units. Please, I'm never going to do that because I don't know. I can't predict the future. But you know, we've talked about this before. Our commitment is to get children in brick and mortar buildings. And Dr. Pierce is well on his way with getting with companies. Again, one of our issues is there's only 2 companies that remove mobile units. And I think I've spoken with you. To remove a mobile unit from a school site can cost $25,000 per mobile unit. And many times it's much more than the mobile unit is worth. But you have to remove them in a certain way. We have to make sure that the spot is cleaned up. So we're working through that. But you have our commitment because I know that you're concerned about that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's been, this
I'll be
board and
happy.
prior boards is to
That's
eliminate.
right. That's been a
mobile
discussion since
bathrooms.
2020.
Right.
Since I've been on the board. So,
These
but
mobile units, are they rental or owned?
we have like 180 something. We own 65. So we are renting mobile units. Now, a mobile unit per month can cost you $300 a month or it can cost you $3,000 a month because for instance, we have mobile units that are 6 and 8 classrooms. The one mobile unit is 6 or 8 classrooms. So obviously, if we're renting one that's just 2 classrooms split down the middle, that's going to run you your lower cost. But when you're talking about one that's huge, so, you know, we're spending $1 million a year in mobile unit rentals, at least. But then we're going to have to spend the money to remove them as well. But it'll be worth it. It's worth it in the end because it's going to save you that yearly cost. So they vary. But we do own about 65 to 67 of them. Yeah.
Once the ones you own or remove, how are they disposed of? What is the disposition?
I don't
Go-
know.
go-
I don't have that answer.
go to bid.
We've sold several. We sell some of them. We just put them out to bid and sell them, but we make.
Salvage value.
Right, we've done some and we will continue to do some, but the person who buys them is going to remove them. That's the deal. And you know that's the stopping point sometimes. But yeah, we can sell them in surplus. But again, that's to remove them. So that's always part of our agreement. We've actually had some people look at some, and that's part of the agreement.
Yeah, now, and I will say, in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation, the JCC looked at a couple, didn't work out this time, but I think now that's an avenue that probably we didn't think about before for temporary needs for JCC. So we appreciate
Well-
both of y'all working together, trying to find a
And you know,
solution.
the wonderful thing about what you have done with the citizens' tax dollars to support education, I love your first priority with education because there's no doubt you do that. You are committed to that, and you have shown that you're committed to it. Is that hopefully we will never be back in this situation with mobile units because now there's a plan, and I'm not saying anything about how I got here, but I'm just saying there's a plan now to remove them, and we all know that this is the best thing. Brick and mortar schools are the best thing.
Let me ask one
Yes, sir.
question. There's a lot of plans here, a lot of needs out there. What happens, for the benefit of our listening audience, if this bond doesn't pass?
Now, let's don't talk about that.
I know, but we need to. And I raise that question for a
These
reason.
items will not be done. Not right now. I mean, that would have to come to the commissioners then.
And if we had to finance it, how would we do it? What I'm trying to do is point out the importance of getting this bond passed.
Obviously, if you get a general obligation bond rate, that's the least expensive financing. So that in itself is.
So it's going to cost us more money to finance it in alternative ways if the bond doesn't pass.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. I understand why you said that. I just don't even want to think about it, but we're going to work hard.
I just wanted to take, oh, go ahead.
Excuse me. Madam Chairman, I have a comment on the Clayton School. I had an opportunity to talk briefly with Brooks Moore at the groundbreaking of Wilson Mills, and he filled me in on where he was doing in terms of the planning process. But one thing that I'm particularly concerned about is traffic associated with that school, because Highway 70 business through Clayton already is horrendous in terms of delays at the cycles.
And I know that he explained to me that the main entrance would be shifted over to the street with a light on it. But there's basically only 2 feeders to that site. It's Highway 70 Business and the main drag through Clayton. And neither one of them is well suited for any more traffic. So how that's going to be managed, I think, is something that we'll be very interested in seeing with the plan for the school.
Okay. I think that would need to be considered, and they'll do that with that's part of the study to look at
Yes.
traffic. Because you're right, those two avenues are very congested. You're talking about Lombard Street there and 70 between
Yes.
the two entrances, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to give you and your team kudos. I know when I first came on, it was a priority to understand how and where all the money was being spent, as a citizen. And I think, we hear a lot from teachers and moms, parents of kids in the school. And I think it doesn't get more transparent than what you've done here and the importance of this bond for the quality of all the children in all of our schools. And so I just want to give you guys a kudos for, I appreciate you saying you appreciate us, but we appreciate everything that you do to make sure all schools, all children are taken care of.
Right. Well, and I thank you for that, but I want to make sure our public understands, and we did a press release earlier to share this. I want our public to understand how much the county commissioners have done for Johnston County Public Schools. If you add up everything that you've committed to, given the bond being one, which is a vote of the citizens, the Clayton High School, the Cleveland High School, the current expense that you paid us, the capital that you paid us, we're talking over $300 million. I couldn't be more grateful for that. That says everything. That says that that first priority of education funding and education in our school, whatever the source may be, that you are obligated to that. So I thank you for that. So thank you. Is that enough?
Lynn, I want to tell you one thing. I had a occasion to be where there were several school teachers over the weekend, and the first thing they said when anyone walked up was, vote for the bond. So you got them hyped up.
Good. Keep telling them to vote for the bond. Right. But we appreciate your support.
Ms. Andrews, I just wanted to say thank you for your transparency and leadership. We work together, this board works together with your board very well, and we appreciate that. It's truly a breath of fresh air, and I know y'all are on it and doing a good job to try to study and look at all the angles, and we appreciate what you're doing.
And we will be back in touch with you about Clayton High. Be happy to sit down and meet with y'all about that. Okay, thank you, sir.
I did have one issue that several people were not so pleased with was the capital outlay for this year, and I think the board had several reasons and concerns about where that was headed. But I would encourage you to get with some of our board members, particularly Vice Chairman Harris and Commissioner Stovall, to look at those capital needs. And I know you started an asset management program
Yes.
study, and eventually will lead to some life cycle modeling, so we'll know what those costs are. But I think this past year, going from 0 to 28, or 6 to 28 was a big jump. But I think the programs, again, that you have established will pay off in the long run, and I would encourage we would have,
Yeah.
and we'll throw in another commissioner as well, but we would love to
We
work
would
with
love
you
to
on
set up,
developing
yeah,
that.
some
And not wait till, let's not do it in April.
Let's not wait till the
start doing
budget,
it.
right. Let's
Yeah,
talk
start
about
doing
some
it
of
now.
our priorities and our needs especially since we now have this study that gives us a really good indication of what we need to be doing.
And the last thing I did want to say is thank you to this board for having the courage to look at redistricting. I know for many, many years, that was taboo for the school board to consider redistricting, but I think, we're talking about getting rid of 20 mobile classrooms by redrawing some lines, and I know that's maybe a painful process for some along where those lines change, but thank you and your board for considering that.
Well, it's the right thing to do, and Commissioner Smith, you mentioned that several years ago. And then now that you add 2 new schools, it's just a wonderful time to do it. So we're excited about it, and we'll travel through it and get it done.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, we continuing in the educational funding realm of things. We have Dr. Vern Lindquist here from JCC to present a request for funding to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chairman, and Commissioners, for allowing me to make this request to you today. I know it's out of cycle, but we did have some things come to our attention, beyond the normal budget cycle that are really kind of important for us. The good news is that our enrollments are at historic highs now again. for the fourth semester in a row, and I don't see an end to it. So we do need to make sure that we're putting the college in the best possible footing to give the citizens of the county the service that it deserves. So we got a $500,000 grant from the state to begin a new respiratory care program. These things require a match of a certain percentage given our enrollment, and that is $50,000, which we just do not have laying around right now. I don't know if you've looked at how the state budget is going, but it's not really going very quickly. So we do need to make sure that we can cover that cost. And also, our EMS program is just growing by leaps and bounds. We've got some massive needs in that area. It's an area which I think over the course of the past decade has not perhaps received the kind of attention that it's deserved. So we've got quite a hole to dig out of there. We've got two requirements that we found out that we really do need to take care of by a very short window of time. That is, we can't wait until the next budget request times to request these funds. So any consideration you could give to helping us cover these costs would be greatly appreciated, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So, Dr. Lindquist, so I know there was an, I don't know, audit is the right word, but accreditation thing. And so I think that probably led to, I don't know how much of the numbers on here, but.
It did. There's actually a list that's much larger than this of all the things that we do need to get in place for the accreditation. These two are on that list, the largest and the most pressing. We think we've got some high-cost needs money coming from the state to cover most of the other costs. We have some other things set aside as well. But these two are kind of onerous for us at this point.
That was going to be my next question. Are you going to be in a position to cover the other needs for that accreditation process?
We do hope so. We are allowed to apply for high needs funding on a certain cycle, and I think we're able to do that in enough time that we can make the rest of the purchases we need to satisfy the accreditor.
So these numbers add up to $386,000.
That's about right.
And where would you set this respiratory care program up at?
Right now, we're going to set it up in the STEAM building. We hope to be back in that building in the next month or so. We've had some setbacks with that refurbishment because not all the drawings matched what we were finding in the building. So that's slowing us down a bit. But we've got some space there identified that we're going to use for now.
Yeah, I think there were some modifications during construction, and there were no as-built, so you basically uncover and find what you find, so.
You get what you get.
Yeah, and we got a lot of it.
And Dr. Ling, I know Commissioner Braswood mentioned the 386 in this report, but what was the total amount that you were looking for in needs that you're hoping to get other money for, just so the total
that
needs?
Total was north of $800,000.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, we're working very hard to get those funds from other sources.
And I will, just as we had mentioned priorities before, that public safety is one of our top 6 priorities. And then as we've talked about the enrollments there and the growing needs there just to meet the citizens' needs of Johnston County, that this seems to be although it'd be nice to get them everything on time, but this is a request that came up, I won't say out of the blue, but largely a result of accreditation process that we need to maintain that. So
it is, and just one thing I can tell you, that the state systems are not really set up to accommodate the kind of growth that we're seeing. I don't know if any system could be. I'm happy to see our enrollment growing. It's a challenge when it's growing, about 25% over the last 2 years. So this is not a challenge the system is set up to really address very, very, very well.
I will add also that this EMS training program there also provides the training not only for many different areas, but also all the Johnston County employees that are part of our EMS division all train at the community college. And also, those students are not, it's not a one and done. They provide continuing education for the entirety of their careers. And so it's quite a lot of people that go in and out of that program. And you've got a great program, so I really commend you and your staff for the public safety program is really fantastic.
Yeah, the public safety is one of the best programs we've got, and really a solid team, so we're very proud of them.
All of these are tangible programs that fills a need. I think we need to fund them. I move that we approve the funding as requested, all three of these items.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Request is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lingus, for your leadership. We appreciate it.
All right, next up, we have the resolution for Firefighters Week in Johnston County, and I've asked Vice Chairman Harris to,
There's our fire marshal coming in the back door.
the whole pile of them coming in there, all right.
He was out there, he was counting people to make sure we're not exceeding our limits here.
Good morning. How is everybody today?
Good. How you doing?
Good morning.
Parker?
Thank you for having us. As you were aware, the anniversary of the attacks on 9/11 occurring in American soil is quickly approaching. This will be the 23rd anniversary of that. And to honor those individuals that have served and currently serve as firefighters in Johnston County Emergency Services, we'd like the board to consider an adoption for a resolution for Firefighters Week occurring during that week, next week.
Okay.
All right, with that being said, the resolution proclaiming Firefighters Week in Johnston County. Whereas fighting fires is one of the most hazardous professions requiring physical strength, stamina, extensive training, courage, and selfless concern for the welfare of others. And whereas firefighters provide valuable services to the citizens of Johnston County, their communities, and the county. And whereas firefighters make sacrifices to protect the lives and financial interests of the citizens of Johnston County, and whereas firefighters respond to emergencies without hesitation when the call of duty arises, and whereas firefighters work with public safety officials and law enforcement officers to protect the integrity of crime scenes, which is necessary to resolve arson cases, and whereas firefighters reside in the community in which they serve and have a great appreciation for protecting their communities, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the duties and services that firefighters perform by observing Firefighters Week in Johnston County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Johnston County Board of Commissioners that all firefighters deserve to be honored for their invaluable service they provide to this county, its citizens, and communities. The Board of Commissioners encourages the citizens of Johnston County to observe the week of September 8th through the 14th as Firefighters Week in Johnston County, adopted this third day of September 2024. And Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, we don't always see the dangers that the firefighters find when they go to a fire. A lot of times they're fighting a fire and they're worried about the safety aspect of it, from just the fire and the structural failures. But a lot of times, I attended a meeting at the Princeton Fire Department. They had a lady to speak about the hazardous materials that sometimes that are in a fire, and to give off fumes, and the firefighters are affected for years later, some of them drastically on their health. So it's not just they're going in to fight a fire, they're taking a lot of chances when they go out there to help the citizens of Johnston County. And I think we need to expand our appreciation for them every time we get a chance.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add to that, I appreciate those comments. And, the other part of it that I think most of the fire personnel will attest to is there's also an emotional part of it, that you respond to things that you see that you can't unsee, that see things that you wish you had never seen. And so you have an opportunity to help people at their worst possible moments, and it's a rewarding career. Having spent many years doing it myself, I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I'm thankful to those who serve every single day, because many times emergencies happen in this county and we sleep right through it and don't even know anything happened. They go out and they take care of it. Our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, our paramedics, they handle the situation and everybody's back to normal. So thank you for all that you do. And if I be all right, I'd like to recognize our Wilson's Mills Fire Chief in the back, Bentley Powell, and our Director of Emergency Services, Kevin Hubbard, and the Assistant Director, Josh Holloman. Appreciate all your service, and of course, Fire Marshal Ryan Parker. Thank y'all.
Appreciate that.
I just want to say, any other discussion or comments?
Just another note of gratitude.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you mentioned during the time, the emergency, the fire, whether it's responding to a wreck, all the things you do, but in addition to the training, that the people rarely see the hours and hours and hours of training that go into it, and being ready for those calls. And they all don't happen between 8 and 5, they happen all hours, and the willingness of our firefighters and all our emergency services personnel to jump in and put others before themselves is an amazing thing to see. So thank you for that. Did you have something else you want to add?
I want to say thank you for the kind comments, and I want to say thank you for your continued support. And the support doesn't go unnoticed. I want to add that due to your support, as of 9:14 this morning, Bentonville Fire Department is now offering first responder services. Wow. And so they are the 23rd of 23 fire departments offering that. And that is as a result of the strategic plan approved by y'all. And we just appreciate your continued support. It was a huge feat for Bentonville Fire Department, our EMS system, our 911 communication system, and all of it's interconnected, and we thank you for your continued support. So
Awesome. That's great news.
I think that is good news, and I think that's for the, one of our reasons for implementing the fire matrix and going to a single district was to make sure that folks, whether in Bentonville or Clayton or wherever in the county, that they're getting similar services, and their expectation can be to be served equally well from wherever they are. So that's good news.
Great.
thank you, Ken.
Thank you for the fine job you're
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the resolution for Firefighters Week in Johnston County, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Proclamation is approved.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have another proclamation. I think we have some folks here from Partnership for Children, Child Passenger Safety Week, and National Seat Check Saturday. And when it gets time to read the proclamation, Commissioner Stovall is going to take care of that for us. All right. Come on, you can come on up. We'll get the comments first. How about comments first?
Come on in.
We want to thank you guys for continuing to support our child passenger safety efforts in the county. Each year, we check over 500 car seats, and we provide over 100 car seats to families in need. And this gives us an opportunity to really reach out to the community and all of the caregivers to continue providing that education to them on the importance of child passenger safety.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will, all the fire departments offer the seat checks as well?
No, sir, they
No?
do not.
Okay. I know there's some who do. I didn't.
At this time, Selma Fire Department is our primary one that has technicians on staff. Smithfield has one, and Clayton has a couple at this time, but we're working to change that.
Okay, good. All right.
So it might not be a bad idea to have those firemen who have seen the deficiencies manifest themselves in bad ways, maybe to speak to your group.
All right. Commissioner Stovall?
Proclamation for Child Passenger Safety Week 2024. Whereas children are Johnston County's most precious resource, and whereas between 2008 and 2017, there has been a 15% decline in the number of child motor vehicle traffic fatalities, and whereas children 2 to 4 years of age using safety belts instead of child safety seats or booster seats are 4 times more likely to suffer a serious head injury in a crash, and whereas when installed and used correctly, child safety seats and safety belts can prevent injuries and save young lives, and whereas child safety seats can reduce fatal injury by up to 71% for infants and 54% for toddlers ages 1 to 4. And whereas research from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration shows 59% of child restraint systems are installed incorrectly. And whereas all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and our territories have laws requiring the use of child safety seats for small children. And whereas child passenger safety technicians in Johnston County continue to help parents keep their children safely seated during Child Passenger Safety Week and beyond by offering appointments at local checking stations. And whereas for all of these reasons and for the well-being of our kids, Johnston County is committed to working closely with parents and safety advocates to help reduce the number of young lives lost on our highways. Our goal is to educate parents and caregivers on how to properly install and use child safety seats. Parents and caregivers are urged to take advantage of the free services offered by child passenger safety technicians and ensure that their children are getting the very best protection. Now therefore, we, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim September 5th through the 21st, 2024 as Child Passenger Safety Week, and September 21st, 2024 as National Seat Check Saturday. Certified child passenger safety technicians will be holding a public event at the Smithfield Fire Department on September 14th where parents and caregivers can get their car seats checked for free. Let's all help reduce crash fatalities and injuries by buckling up our children correctly, every trip, every time. And Mr. Chairman, I move that the county commissioners adopt the aforementioned proclamation as presented.
Clarify, that bill was Selma Fire Department.
It is actually at Smithfield. We had to have a venue change due to the My Kids Club 5K.
All's well that ends well. I second the motion.
All right. All right, we have a motion to second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Proclamation is approved.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did.
All right. And I did have confirmation that Cleveland has some part-timers who do the seat checks as well, so.
I'll have to get in touch with them.
Okay.
Thank you, folks.
All right, next up, we have Chief Bentley Power with Wilson Mills Fire Department here to present to us a request for approval of tax-exempt loan status. Oh, Mr. Parker, you going to take care of that to start with?
Yes, sir. Here with Chief Bentley Powell with the Wilson Mills Fire Department. They respectfully request a tax-exempt loan from First Citizens Bank in an amount of $2.5 million to finance construction of a fire station located at 1988 Gordon Road in Clayton, North Carolina. This building will serve as the permanent fire station at Gordon Road location, replacing the current temporary building that Wilson Mills is currently operating within. Chief Powell presented multiple proposals. They were reviewed by Mr. Chad McClam and was recommended in comparison to the other ones. This one by First Citizens.
Yeah.
And that one was recommended over the other two. And I brought Chief Powell with us to answer any technical questions you may have on the project.
All right, any questions for Mr. Parker or Chief Powell? I know definitely won't have any technical questions on that, so.
I will say, just for awareness, we're already operating on the site. We built a temporary building and we're using a mobile unit for staffing. So this is the second phase to finalize this project to be final. And just for clarification again, this is on land that we acquired through Novo. Novo made some donation. So
Chief, how will you use that temporary when you build a new one?
we've got a permanent building. We got our trucks in. It'll become a storage / maintenance facility. The mobile unit we're using is rental, so it'll go away.
Okay. And I guess my question is for our finance director, Mr. McLam. And I know as we're working through the fire matrix and getting ready to implement all that, has this all been accounted for in the current tax rate? Okay. All right. What are wishes of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we adopt the resolution for a tax-exempt loan status.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approval of the tax-exempt loan status, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
luck.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
both. All right, next up, we have a presentation from the Best Friends Animal Society, and I think KJ Stansel is here to present to us. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to
morning.
see you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for having me. I'm KJ Stansel. I represent the Best Friends Animal Society. We have had the opportunity to work with the county manager's office, county attorney's office, and the animal services department for quite some time now. We are seeking approval by the board to be able to work alongside the Animal Services Department for trapping, neutering, spaying, vaccinating, and releasing stray animals. Best Friends Animal Society will provide the funding and the volunteers for this program, and we see this as an opportunity of improvement at no expense to taxpayers. We do have John Graves and Victoria Perry here today from Best Friends Animal Society, and if you do have any questions, I would like to turn it over to John.
All right, anyone have any questions? So,
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, regarding the funding. I guess my concern is the funding will be ongoing as long as the program is ongoing. And we won't be, sometimes you see well-meaning programs without tax entanglement that winds up becoming tax entanglement, and that's my concern.
it's always those grants that become requirements for us to pay for.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of talk a little bit more in detail for, I mean, some of us are hearing this for the first time, if you want to kind of explain some of the
Absolutely. John, you
program.
want to take over?
Yeah, how are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good. I drove in this morning, so you're going to have to give me a minute, you know.
Okay, yeah.
I live out in Dare County, so I am Outer Banks native, North Carolina native. Been in animal welfare here since 2006. This is a program, it's basically kind of the standard operating now for most animal shelters. We've been in talks, I think this time around with Johnston since around October, making sure we're getting everything straightened out. So what Best Friends does is we bring in a lot of our expertise alongside of the funding. So as far as your funding, question goes, this is like a pilot program to basically get things started and to show you all the cost savings of a community cap program versus the current model. I can talk about this like all day, so we can get down.
We don't need all that.
Yeah. But yeah, so what we start out with is an initial investment of $100,000 quarterly, $25,000. Working with Victoria's with Bailey's Human Rescue, which is a local animal welfare group that's been practicing TNVR here for about 3 years. Five. Oh, I'm way off. Sorry. Yeah.
So for 5 years.
Yeah. So wait till we're at is to get the program started, show you all the cost savings. We are invested in getting this off the ground and getting you moving. We do some continued funding. It kind of just depends on how well the program goes. As long as we have buy-in and we see that it's working, then we'll continue investing until you all are able to get your own funding for it. But like I said, usually that's a 1 to 2 year investment when we look at a pilot program like this.
So tell us some successes you've had in, I don't know, I'm assuming Dare County, but other counties.
Yeah, Dare County actually does a very high success rate. I was there when we first started our CCP back in 2016, but we just did one in Onslow County. We just funded theirs. They're in the middle of launching theirs right now. There are, of the 100 and some shelters in North Carolina, I would say that 20% have a cat life-saving rate of 80% or higher. So I can send you a list of ones that are successful. Burlington has one of the longest running. Guilford has seen drastic increases in their numbers over the last few years through CCP management. Sorry, CCP is community cat programming. So
excuse me. When you say seen an drastic increase in their numbers,
in their life saving, in their cat life saving, right?
Okay, so okay.
Yeah. So what was your question?
Is
is
this about cats or is this about all animals?
This is the cat specific program. Yeah, this is
the gentleman that just came before you said all animals.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, I meant stray animals.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, there are more stray animals than cats.
Yeah, but I think the discussion has been specifically for cats.
Yeah, this is specific
on
cat
this one.
program.
So this is specific to cats.
So this is implementing what we call a community cat program. So a community cat program looks at basically, different components of managing your cats. So you're looking at trap, neuter, vaccinate, return as part of that, but also nuisance mitigation, which actually helps solve issues long-term for your citizens. Because right now what ends up happening is you go and remove a cat, another one moves right back in. Anyone who's had cats in their property has probably seen that, right? And then we also look at basically public support, and we are looking at community engagement pieces, things like that, to make sure everything flows
as you're saying, long-term.
Yeah, let me just say this. I know it sounds good to say we're going to release these animals. But what do you say to me? These animals go somewhere. They have to eat.
Yeah.
They prey on things. What I do with a pack of dogs, it killed one of my calves when he's born because they've got no one else to feed them.
Well, we're talking about cats are very different than dogs, I will say, too. Now, cats do have some, obviously, prey and some wildlife impact, but the most important thing is they're already out there. These cats are already out there. The only thing that's actually been shown to reduce the number of cats is a community cat program, TNVR, things like that. Trap and removal, which is what's been happening in Johnston forever, is not working. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, it's not working. Johnston has been the top 3 highest killing counties in North Carolina for a decade. And
So is that what put us on your radar pilot
initially,
program?
yes, sir. We work with counties across the country. We work with, again, we're a national organization. I work primarily in North Carolina and then in Virginia. But yeah, initially what put us on the radar are we're going very hard working with the 3 highest killing. So to give you an example of the highest intake shelters in North Carolina, there's only 2 that have a save rate of under 20%, and you all being one of them. And the other one is already making changes to kind of address that, right? So what we're looking at is the fact that, and I wish I had a little more time, I can, bring a better presentation, but again, CCP is the only thing that has been shown to actually manage a population of outside cats, outdoor cats. They're out there no matter what, but if you're spaying and neutering them, you're eliminating a lot of the nuisance issues and you're driving that population down. Other studies have shown like complaint basically calls for animal control have gone down 90% with an active community cat program as well. So you're actually, again, solving these problems for your residents long term. So cats getting in the garden, cats scratching up furniture, like lawn furniture, all these issues you see with cats getting underpinning. We're going to be working to deter them off of one property and kind of helping to drive down the population where they're allowed to be.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I have a good friend in the Atlanta area who's involved in a similar program and has seen the success you're talking about there. And I think, and let me make sure this may be a question for staff, but I think as we're looking at the dollars will go to the nonprofits. Will it flow through the county or will it go straight to them? So it's not money that'll flow through us. It'll go to the nonprofits who are helping that. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have one, Mr. Chairman. So the initial investment that you do to get the program started, and then I'm assuming that goes away at some point, and how does it fund post your withdrawal? Once you stop.
Part of what you'll see as we're funding this, you should see your costs go down in shelter. So think about the fact that every time an officer drives out to pick up a cat, it's costing you mileage, costing you officer time, having to bring these animals in and hold them and house them for 72 hours, which is the state requirement, is very costly, having to care for them. And then obviously the euthanasia practice as well. So all of that typically costs about twice as much to hold and house and pick up a cat than it does to, and again, this is very well studied, than it does to actually TNVR them in the field, trap, meter, vaccine in the field.
If you spend that money to pick up the cat and then turn the cat loose, aren't you duplicating that again? The problem's still out there.
Oh, if you all were to take them all in, yeah, absolutely, yes, sir. But that's why we're working with an outside party to actually handle the nuisance mitigation and the trapping part, so that fewer cats are coming into the shelter and being housed there. There are models that find success in bringing them into the shelter and housing them for 72 hours, but it is, yeah, like you're saying, the cost still there is still there for having to house them.
I guess it depends on what your priority is. Some is saving cats' lives. To me, it's reducing the number of cats out there.
What's both, right? And that's the best thing about CCP is it addresses nuisance behavior better than what's happening now, because you're solving for all the cats and not just the one cat you're removing. It also is the only thing that's shown to actually reduce a population in a general area, and it's saving cats' lives. For me, it's about, especially about the nuisance mitigation side of things, is knowing that I was just, back when I was doing this, because I was certified euthanasia technician, I was a director, I was an animal control officer. So I would drive to someone's house, pick up a cat, bring it back to the shelter, hold it for 72 hours, and then we would kill it. And then a week later, I'd go back, pick up another cat, or I'd sit at one property and pick up a bunch of cats. And then what ends up happening, as long as that resource is still there, another animal moves in to fill it. It's nature, right? We can't fight Mother Nature. It's the vacuum effect. So what we're doing is returning that animal that then defends the territory. And again, it's now spayed and neutered, so it's not going to be roaming as much, not yowling, not fighting. A lot of these behaviors just get reduced just from the spay-neuter aspect alone, and then actually working to solve through different means the whatever the issue is.
Let me be sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this area. Let me just first say that. If the government agency picks a cat up, like you just said, and nobody comes and adopts that cat is exterminated.
Right now, yes, sir.
And it does not go back out,
No.
whether it's spayed, neutered, or whatever it is, it doesn't go back out into the community.
In the current model, yes, sir.
That's right. Well, how does sending the cats back out, even if they're spayed or whatever, reduce the cats? The first model, you have one less cat. The second model, you have one more cat.
Well, no,
How does that reduce the cats?
What ends up happening actually is, like, if you say you have a colony of cats, say you have 20 cats, if you remove 50% of those cats, you remove 10 of those cats, it's a well-studied response that the next litter is actually larger. So what ended up happening is, like, so if you've got 20 cats, you remove 10, you euthanize them, you don't return them, you put them into a barn, whatever you do, as long as that resource is still there, the next litters are larger, and you end up with 25 cats.
What? Explain. Do you go out and catch cats yourself?
I mean, I have, yeah, but
No, I mean,
that would be
where do you get these cats that you're gonna treat? Where do they come from?
Well, they would be all over Johnston County.
So who catches them?
So if a call comes in, then the call about a community cat or a complaining cat goes to Bailey's, and then Bailey's goes out, actually does the spay and neuter, helps mitigate the nuisance. And
Who's Bailey's?
Bailey's Human Rescue. This is Victoria here, yeah. So they're a local rescue group that we would be following.
They're not part of the government agency?
No, sir. No, sir. They're an outside contract. And there's plenty of government agencies that are actually implementing these programs. This is just the first step that Johnston wanted to take, is working with an outside party. Yeah, I mean, again, Onslow, Burlington, Wilson's been working on implementing theirs. Randolph's been working on this.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm just talking about how the system works, okay? Yeah. So if a call comes in, it comes to the government agency, right?
Yes, sir.
They would then turn the call over to your group.
To an external partner, yes, sir.
They would not go out and get the cat.
No, sir.
You would go out and get the cat.
Bailey's will go out and get the cat, but yes, sir.
Well, whoever you're representing
Yes,
would. And then you spay the cat, right?
Yes, sir. So they would go and pick up the cat, spay, neuter, explain why the cat's being returned.
And then what are they? Do they just turn the cat open the door and let the cat leave, or what?
It usually goes back to a caregiver in the area, because there's usually a caregiver, someone who's feeding the cat, right? Because there's a resource, there's something attracting that cat. 9 times out of 10, it's a person.
If a person's taking care of a cat, they're not going to call and ask you to come get him.
No, but if you're well, sometimes they will. They'll call and ask for help. We see that actually a lot. They'll call and they'll say, I don't know what to do with this cat. I don't want it to have kittens. What can I do? And so you talk them through their options rather than just sending someone out to trap it. Most of the time, actually, if you give someone the opportunity or you let them know that it's going to be killed, but here what we can do instead, they're going to choose the latter. They're going to choose to actually have the cat fixed and returned. Again, that's been very well studied. It's about transparency and having the conversation and giving people the option. Yeah.
Again, I know you're talking in generalities. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is who's calling and complaining about cats. Is it the person who has the cat, or is it someone else?
It's both, to be totally honest with you. You have people that have been feeding the cat that don't know what to do. because they're afraid it's going to have kittens, or it's just showed up, or, we'll have people that have been feeding it for 3 months and they'll still say it's not there. Right in Victoria, I've seen that before. So a lot of times it's kind of finding this out, how long the cat has been there. And then if you have a complainant who's calling who does not want the cat there, then that's where we look for a caregiver to return the cat, to continue the care, and also, again, provide deterrence to keep the cat from coming back on the property where it's not allowed.
Well, the government has a role and government doesn't have a role. I agree with Commissioner Godwin. I'm for less cats.
That's the benefit of a good TNVR program. It's at the end of the day, everyone's happy because everyone wants fewer cats. Whether you love cats, whether you hate cats, or whether you just want to have fewer to take care of. That's what works.
I'm not opposed to you doing that. I just don't know that we need to get involved in that.
Well, that's why we're starting it this way with an external partner and working to invest in that, to let them do most of the legwork.
What do we do with the next group that comes up that wants to do the same thing for dogs?
Well, I don't know anyone's doing this for dogs, I will tell you that, because dogs and cats are obviously very different animals. Do you guys have an issue with like large packs of dogs? I didn't think so. Okay, just looking at Chad because Chad knows better than I do here, especially when it comes to dogs. But packs of like feral and free-roaming dogs are very rare, and they do have to be handled very differently. And to be totally honest with you, that is not my field of expertise because it is so rare. Texas has some opportunities for that. I know that, but I don't know anywhere in North Carolina that's dealing with like packs of feral dogs. You get the occasional, that's for sure, but not packs of them.
Well, we have packs of dogs. We have coyotes.
Yeah.
We have all of them.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, we have
In this
coyotes
county.
too in Dare County, like you wouldn't believe, too. Yeah, and it's actually one of the areas where I started seeing an interesting correlation, and coyotes were being handled kind of, unsuccessfully for a long time in Dare County because we had an issue where people were going, again, they would kill off one of them, and then when it didn't return the den, they had a larger litter to come back to that resource. So we had to start going all the way down.
There's a big difference in Dare and Hyde County and places like that.
Yeah.
In Johnston County.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
But I will tell you that, this is a program that works in counties that are of all different types and all different sizes. And we can, again, see, like, even if you look at the top 10 highest intake shelters in North Carolina, I think, 25% of them have an intake of a cat life-saving rate of over 90%. I have to go back and look. I actually have it here. But, yeah, it's when you're looking at intake as well, yes, 25% of municipals in North Carolina are over 90%. And in that 10%, like I said, only 2 are under it.
So I had a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, the cats appreciate town limits and other things like that, so how do we?
We're going to put a tracking collar on each one, and if they go over a line, we're going to show.
Okay, so you know what?
Completely joking.
But how does that, because we're I know we're a large county, but we do have 11 municipalities, so
Yeah.
how are they impacted?
We've talked to the different municipalities, and pretty much everyone we've talked to, KJ can stand for this, has said, we want to see what the county wants to do first. Because as of right, also because as of right now, all of your municipalities actually take animals to the shelter.
Right.
Yeah. So right now, what we're working on, this is just a county focused. So this is, reducing.
Since they're coming to us
in the county.
anyway.
And that's why we're piloting this at, again, a $100,000 investment with 800 cats as the initial target, because that's more of what is in line with the county is bringing in, compared to what the towns are bringing in. The towns are bringing in a much smaller number of cats.
Okay. So I guess my question, I appreciate all your answers because the questions have varied from all sorts of topics. But from the staff side, I think primarily our attorney has had conversations with the group and maybe our animal control director, Chad Massengill. But any comments from staff as to, I would say, the good and the bad of this and whoever is most appropriate, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I can talk holistically, and the smart guys behind me, Mr. Massengill, can talk about the technical pieces.
Well, he's got his pad out, so I think he's ready to help.
So we've been talking with Best Friends since October of 2023. about their interest in implementing a community cat program in Johnston County. And as you can imagine, we had lots and lots and lots of questions. And so I appreciate Best Friends' patience and perseverance as we asked all of these questions, because certainly this was a new thing for us. And a lot of what I've heard asked up here today were some of the same questions that we had about the program to begin with. But essentially, the goal of this partnership would be to work towards achieving a 90% save rate for the cats. And essentially, what Johnston County's role in this would be in this pilot program, and again, I think it was explained, from a staff perspective, we're willing to try it out. And one of the things that is going to be really important to make it successful is the community partners that would be actually on the ground in the field implementing the program. And the two community partners that have been identified are Bailey's Human Rescue, and Victoria is here. And then Safe Haven is the organization that will actually take care of the spay and neuter process. And so Bailey's goes out in the field, gets the animal, the cat, takes the cat to whatever resource has been identified through Safe Haven, and then will deliver the cat back. The way that we look at it is a voluntary type of program. We're not going to force you to keep a cat in Johnston County that you don't want, that's not yours. So I want to be clear about that. We've had a lot of discussions with Best Friends about that. Now, what we think is that once folks are educated about the program, the majority of those that would be resistant to it may be interested in participating. But from Johnston County's perspective, when the calls come in, we will then be a referral source and an education source. But under this pilot, we would stop delivering the traps out in the field and going to pick those traps up. Right now, that's what we do. Now, this only applies to healthy, treatable cats. If there is a sick or injured or something like that, cat that's out in the field, then of course our folks are going to respond. But this is for, there's a cat hanging out at my house, he's in my barn, that sort of thing. I don't mind him being here, but it's not really my cat. We hear it's not my cat a lot, but it's not really my cat, but I don't want 10 more cats. And so this is a process in which this could be helpful. We had a lot of conversation about, and it's funny, town cats versus county cats, because that is a very legitimate question, because we do take in for other folks. And we have talked about in the shelter how we will identify, where the cat came from. And then that way we know, from when we're looking at this hope to reduce by 800 and that sort of thing, that we know where those numbers are coming from and that sort of thing. Because, of course, we can't dictate to the towns what they do with their animal control programs and don't intend to do that. But certainly, this is one thing that from a practical perspective, if the board is so inclined to move in this direction, we're willing to try it. We did feel that it was imperative, based on the resources that our Animal Services Department has, that we have community partners that execute the program, because we don't have the resources to do it ourselves. Mr.
Jennifer,
Smith.
I just want to ask you a question, and I know you do a great job, but when you say, we're not going to force anyone to keep a cat, it's what you just said, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's where I'm struggling. Whoever calls, they calls this nonprofit and say, I got a cat here I don't want, or I got a cat here. And they go out and they get the cat, and they spay or neuter it. And the person says, I don't want the cat back. What do they do with the cat?
So in those cases, and this is the way that I understand it, and Chad may help me out a little bit here,
Gonna
but
be a
if
problem
there,
somewhere.
let's say, I'm going to pick on Mr. Harris. Let's say Mr. Harris, let's pretend, one, that he lived in the county jurisdiction. And then number two, let's pretend that he had a cat that it was scratching up his car, laying all over his cushions on his porch, and was just an absolute nuisance. And he did not want that cat. He would call in, under the program, the proposed program, he would call into Animal Services. And Animal Services would educate him about those options that might be available to him. And if he said, no, you come get this cat, I'm done with the cat, what we would say is, because we would no longer be delivering traps and picking it up, we'd say, Mr. Harris, if you want to get the cat to the shelter, then we will handle the cat for you. But we wouldn't be going out in the field and picking them up and bringing them back to the shelter. If Mr. Harris wanted to trap the cat and get it to us, then that would be the way that it would work under the program. But we would not require Mr. Harris to participate in this program and require that that cat be delivered back to his house where he did not want it.
I'm not on the same page with you, okay?
Understood.
I've got a very simple question. Mr. Harris calls and says, whether it's his cat that's causing a problem or his neighbor's cat that's causing a problem. He calls. They come get the cat.
If Mr. Harris cooperates.
Whatever. They get the cat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The cat's not coming back to Mr. Harris. Okay, if the cat doesn't come back to Mr. Harris, as you said, he's not going to be forced to keep the cat. The cat has to go somewhere. Has to go somewhere. Whether he's spayed, neutered, or whatever, he's got to go somewhere. Either a third party has to volunteer and say, I want a cat, I want to adopt that cat, or the cat's got to be turned out on the lam. Which is it?
So it can be a multitude of answers to the question.
No, just one of those two. It's got to be one of those two.
Do you mind? So let me add a layer to this. I know it's going to drive you crazy, but
You don't drive me crazy.
So okay,
I want
let's
to
say
drive you crazy.
this is Mr. Harris is calling right with the nuisance complaint. And so what we're going to do, this is why nuisance mitigation is so important, because as we're looking to figure out where that cat belongs, we're going over to Mr. Harris's.
Wait a minute. I don't want to hear all that. I just want you to answer my questions. Just answer my questions.
Yeah.
You come get Mr. Harris's cat. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to keep this simple.
Yeah.
You take it and you fix it.
Yeah.
What do you do with the cat then?
So that's what I was trying to get to.
No, just what you do with that cat. You either got to give it to someone.
Yeah.
Or you got to turn it out.
It's all about identifying who that someone is. So that's where Bailey's comes in. Bailey's is going to know the caregivers in the area and know which of the neighbors are feeding it, so that cat goes back to that neighbor. So say you're feeding the cat on your property, the cat is going over here. We're going to deter it off the property.
So what you're telling me is that when Mr. Harris sends the cat to you and you fix it, 100% of those cats are going to go to someone who's going to adopt 100% of those cats. Is that what you're saying?
The healthy, treatable ones. Yes, sir. So what it is it's a robust thing. So like I said, if he's calling to complain, but we know that you're feeding him, you guys are neighbors, then it's going to be attracting him back to you to keep the cat, and also working through his nuisance mitigation.
I'm not interested in getting complicated. You got the cat, however you got it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that after you fix the cat,
yes,
100% of those cats are going to go to a home.
Treatable, healthy cats are going to be an outdoor home, but yes.
They're going to go to a home.
An outdoor home, but yes.
Neighborhood.
A neighborhood.
A neighborhood.
They're going to go to someone's house, or they're going to be turned out on the lam.
Well, they're going to go back to the neighborhood they came from.
So they're going to be turned out on the land.
So I'll tell you, well, no, like I said, there are caregivers in any particular area.
I understand that. I understand there can be some caregivers. I'm just trying to get you to be honest with me
I am being honest.
that most of those cats are going to be turned back out in the neighborhood on the lam?
They're going to be turned back to caregivers. Yes, majority of the time, yes.
Let me ask you, this is part of an important question for me. All right, we got Mr. Harris's cat. He's over here. He's over here. You're the cat man from now on. Anyway, Mr. Fred Smith is his neighbor, and Mr. Fred Smith calls, says, Mr. Harris's cat's making scratches on my car, damaging my property, digging in my garden. I want him gone. So y'all go pick him up. And Mr. Harris says, I want my cat back. So you've neutered him or spayed him or spayed or whatever, and you've gave it whatever shots it might need, and you return it to Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith has still got the problem.
Well, that's why nuisance mitigation is so important, for us to go to Mr. Smith's house and find out what the problem is and how we resolve it. So
I would resolve the problem. I wouldn't need you to resolve it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the realistic situation is what happens in my neighborhood. There's a feral cat there, and he goes to multiple houses. He don't belong to anybody,
Yeah.
but everybody leaves something out for their cat or their dog, and that cat is going and pilfering everywhere. He's a nuisance to everybody. He doesn't belong to anybody. And if he's removed from that neighborhood and eventually given back to that neighborhood, there's still nobody looking at him, and he's still pilfering everybody's food. He's just not procreating.
Well, most people, I will say, this is the other important aspect of this. Is, again, this has been studied in communities all over the country, and in small rural areas, and even up to nationals. It averages out. It's 70% of the citizens of whatever community want the cat either left alone, and then want them to be spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and then 7% want them left alone completely. So in a general neighborhood, if you have 10 people living in there, typically 6 to 7 either want the cat there or don't want it at all, and then you have maybe 2 or 3 that are having a problem. So it's about resolving their problem. And the most important thing is, if I take Mr. Harris's cat away and I don't bring it back, another cat is coming to Mr. Harris's. Another 1.5 cat is coming to Mr. Harris's house. And you never know which half you're going to get, so it can be a little tricky there. Yeah, Mr. Harris, how many cats do you have?
I don't even have a cat.
But he wants one. He wants one.
But somehow I feel compelled to apologize to Mr. Smith because my cat that I don't have.
What it comes down to is, what is being done right now is not working. It's inefficient, it's ineffective, it's fiscally irresponsible, and it's not actually solving your problem. We're asking you to let us pay to help solve your problem for the first year, see how it goes, and then we go from there.
All right. And so I'm gonna try to wrap this up. Mr. Massey, is there anything that you want to add to this conversation?
Do you have a cat?
I have 7 cats. They're all fixed and they're all indoor, so I don't have the problem around my house. I'm just going to give y'all some numbers, so you can think about this situation. Last year we brought in 2,396 cats. We euthanized 1,980 of them. All right. We have redefined our tracking of the cats, so we know whose cats is whose now. So far, from January 1 till this morning's date, we've had 322 cats walk in the building. The county officers have picked up 574 cats, and we have received 436 cats from the municipalities. So 90% of the counties around us have gone to not taking owner surrenders. So it's left the owners to do something with their cats and their dogs. A lot of them are getting dumped across county lines. Our intake numbers are already higher this year than they were last year this time. And that's the only thing I can contribute to is where these other county shelters are not taking owner surrenders. A lot of these counties that have reduced their numbers have other resources for handling animals. Johnston County is the only shelter for this county. We do not have a SPCA. We do not have nowhere else to put them. We have a snowball that is building bigger and bigger.
I don't know if this will help break that snowball down. It might chink it a little bit and slow it down to where we can find other resources. There is no affordable spay and neuter in Johnston County. That is something we have been looking at and trying to find, and it's just not there. Is this the answer? I don't know. But my team and myself are willing to try anything once. If it works, we stay with it. If it don't, we look at other avenues. So I don't know if this is the answer, but it's something to look at.
Is it something I'm assuming you feel like would be a good partnership for you guys? It's giving you help.
Well, 2 cats in 7 years have produced 420,000 cats. If we fix 2 cats, that's 420,000 cats we don't have to deal with.
Right. Mr. Chairman, may I make a motion?
Well, I don't think I don't think.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
When you say you fix 2 cats, you don't have 2 cats you have to deal with. What does that mean? The cats are still there.
Yeah, but your cat population, if you leave these cats out here unneutered, they're just going to keep breeding prolifically.
I understand that. I'm in the breeding business.
Right, and if you could breed cattle as fast as cats, you'd be out of business because you have all the money you wanted. But like I say, 2 cats in 7 years is 420,000 cats.
420,000 in 7 years.
Yes, sir.
I knew we had a lot of kittens around the farm, but I never knew that many.
Yeah.
You think about it, at 6 months old, your kitten's already breeding again.
They have a chart on the wall at the animal shelter, and I made a picture of it, of how many cats will breed, and it's mind-boggling of how many it will, so.
All right, so I'm gonna try to.
Let me say one thing
Okay,
first.
all right.
You know, this is a hard topic.
It is.
It's a hard topic, and it sounds cruel. I got 850 animals on my ranch. Every one of those animals is going to be slaughtered one day. None of them are going to get out of this life alive. The issue is, and I care for those animals, and I take care of those animals, but I know that's where they're going. All cats are going to die. All dogs are going to die. On my ranch, as long as an animal is productive, as long as a mama cow produces a calf, she can stay. But when they're not productive, they have to go. Because they're all going to go. And that sounds hard and that sounds cruel, but it's reality. I sleep with a dog. That's how much I love my dog. I think dogs, as long as people want to take care of them, they need to take care of them. And they're great, and people need to have dogs. As long as cats, people want to take care of cats, they can love and take care of cats. We had a bifurcated situation in our house. I took care of the dog, my wife took care of the cat. But be that as it may, at some point in time, no one wants to take care of the dog and no one wants to take care of the cat. And they don't just need to be out roaming on people's land. That's where I have a problem.
And I fully understand that, but they're already out.
But I agree with that, but we got to solve the problem. I fail to see how changing their sex and putting them back out in any way eliminates them. Because that's all you're doing is you're just making them to where they can't reproduce, but they're still out there.
But it's keeping other ones from coming back to that location. When you remove it, it's going to come back. It's like your herd bull. If you castrate your herd bull and your neighbor has inferior breeding stock across the fence, they're going to come over there and get in your pasture. Now, if your herd bull won't castrate it, he'd probably put them out to pasture, would he not?
I know that first off, they's not gonna get through my fence, but
So Commissioner, I think we've, yeah, I was gonna say, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think, Rick has a comment, and then we'll wrap this up. This is like my experience in Clayton Town Council. We had a cat issue come up, and it took a lot longer than this to talk about, but
And
let's wrap this up.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman. And it is a difficult subject for sure. And that's why we wanted to first recommend that the board take it under advisement. And also that we have clauses in there that, you know, if this doesn't work, we can remove ourselves. Because at the end of the day, no matter how we do this, if it doesn't work, the county's still responsible for it. So that would be our recommendation, just to take it under advisement and for future meetings.
All right, we will do that, and we will move on, and I would not want to be News Charter and Dr. Blackwell coming up following this item, but with that, it looks like some people clear the room and
Thank
some
y'all.
come in. I've noticed a trend in blue, so if you're in blue, you're here for this topic. You're this topic, okay.
I brought some friends.
We'll let them all get in the room and get set down.
They're not all gonna fit.
Okay.
Just for the record, I don't have any cats. I don't have any cats.
Well, we can give you a few.
Mr. Harris has one, apparently. Wait, sounds like it's a naughty cat.
So I will say and I don't know how many's left in the hall, but if you want to kind of stand behind Dr. Blackwell, and it'll be okay. Yeah, maybe I'm right behind her, yeah. You want to be on camera, yeah, you want to be on camera.
They came to stand behind her.
Yeah, if you're camera shy, you can.
I think they're almost in.
All right, we'll let you get started.
I know you're all wondering, how do I have a whole room full of teachers? Just to let you know, it is a teacher work day at News Charter School. Our children are not running the school this morning. So thank you for giving me some space this morning. You're right, I do not want to follow that presentation, but I'm going to do it anyway. So the last time I came here was in February, and I am back to share some more things with you all. So let's jump right into it. The things I'm going to cover this morning are, well, still morning, awesome news, 24-25 projected budget, demographics, our enrollment data, our 23-24 final budget totals. I'm going to clear up charter school confusion again, even though some of you are going to hear that for the second time from me, and then also repeat the capital funding request from when I was here in February. So just some great things that have happened to us recently. Ms. Conley was awarded the most nominated teacher in the Clayton Accolades competition in May. She was a middle school ELA teacher, recently promoted to K-12 Assistant Academy Director. Ms. Williams, our band director, was recently awarded the Peter R. Marsh Foundation grant for $1,250 to help support our middle school band program. Dr. Bond, our middle school social studies teacher extraordinaire, was just last week announced as receiving the third place in the Johnstonian News Reader's Choice Award for Best Teacher in Johnston County. Additionally, Ms. Jerry Roth, she's been a volunteer at News Charter School for 18 years, since the doors opened, and she was recently recognized as a national finalist for the Shelley Ann Braswell Shine Brighter Award, which is sponsored by Building Hope. Miss Lori Anderson is fifth grade science. She recently spent 2 weeks at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum Teacher Innovator Institute. She was one of 32 teachers selected nationally. And Miss Hines, fourth grade math, and Miss Jessica Lester, second grade teacher, they were selected to attend the Great Shapes Incorporated 13th Annual Teacher Training Program in Jamaica.
Now, you may look at that picture and say, gosh, they took a lot of luggage. It's a little excessive. That's not luggage. As a part of our attempt to support their work in Jamaica, we did a donation drive. Those bags are full of school supplies for the students and teachers in Jamaica. And our donation drive broke the company record for the most donations received by a school.
Kudos.
We kicked off the 18th school year on August 12th. I'm very proud to say that we have 928 students, which did exceed our projected enrollment. And every classroom was staffed with a teacher on the first day of school, and we have no open positions. Our projected budget for the 24-25 school year is a little over $9 million. We did see a decrease of about $500,000 due to ESSER funding being no longer available. You can see the breakdown for that. We're anticipating about $6.6 million from state funds, $2.1 from local, that includes $1.8 from Johnston County, and then federal, a little over $348,000. The demographics for our current student body of 928, 63% are Caucasian, 15% are Hispanic, 12% are African American, 9% two or more races, Asian 0.7%, American Indian 0.3%. Our EC population, those are students who qualify for Exceptional Children's Services. That number is 108. Percentage-wise, that is 12% of our student body. Students that qualify for a 504 plan is 54. That is a percentage of 9%. And then students who are identified as academically and intellectually gifted is 79. That's 6%. The last time I came to see you and talk with you, I shared with you that the makeup of our student body was about 89% Johnston County residents. And I shared that the projection for 24-25 was around 97, and it is. 97.2% of our students reside in Johnston County. 1% are from Wake, 0.8% are from Harnett, and 1% are from Wayne. To break it down further, you can see the zip codes where our students reside in Johnston County. The bulk of our student body is made up from Smithfield, Clayton, and Selma residents. To show that to you from a number perspective, those are all the towns that are represented in our student body: Andrew, Benson, Clayton, Four Oaks, Garner on the Johnston County side, Kinley, Micro, Pine Level, Princeton, Selma, Smithfield, and Willow Spring. We have 928 students, 903 reside in Johnston County. Backing up just a moment because I want you all to know how we did in the 23-24 school year before I continue. Because we talk all the time about how we are really good at doing more with less. Our total revenue ended up being about $9.5 million. We were able to prudently use those funds to keep our expenses low at 8.7, and we have a surplus at the end of that school year of $843,388.14. Okay, you've heard this before, some of you, but I'm going to share it again because I don't think it can be repeated enough. Is News Charter a for-profit organization? No, we are not. We are not a for-profit organization. We are the only independent charter school in Johnston County. Johnston County has 3 charter schools. We are the only independently operated and governed Johnston County charter school. We have a board of directors whose members are all volunteers. Additionally, we are the only charter school in Johnston County that offers the teachers state retirement and health benefits. There's no different than the public school. We offer that to our teachers as well. Any charter school that partners with a charter school management organization or an educational management organization, CMO or EMO, on average, turn over 15% of their total profit to the company. So here's the good news about news. Every dollar that we receive stays right here in Smithfield, North Carolina. If we partnered with an EMO or a CMO, we would be sending 15% of our total budget to states like Arizona and Michigan, which is the case with the other 2 charter schools in Johnston County. Our board of directors changed just a little bit since the last time I've been here. But I did want to just recognize that Miss Michelle Denning, who is here with us somewhere back there,
She's this side.
is our president. Miss Nicole Booker is our vice president. Miss Lindsay Spain is our secretary. Mr. Jason Geif is our treasurer. And our additional board members are Mr. Chris Kaiser, Mr. Jeremy Pierce, and Mr. Benji Woodard. So what's great about our board is that they are all volunteers. They are also either current or former parents of News Charter School students, except for one, and that's Mr. Kaiser. He is actually a recently retired News Charter School teacher who accepted the challenge of joining the board once he retired because he still wanted to stay connected to News, and we wanted him to stay connected to News.
Is the distribution of the board reflective of where the students come from?
Yes.
Okay.
The majority of them live in Smithfield and Clayton.
Okay.
Okay, are charter schools, private schools? No. Here is why this might be confusing, and I will tell you, I have talked to the coalition, I have talked to the Association of Public Charter Schools. When you see something that says tuition-free charter school, they're all tuition-free. They're a charter school, they're a public school. They can't charge tuition if they're a public charter school in North Carolina. That is a very misleading tagline. It is a public school. We do not pick and choose our students like private schools can. They have an application process. We have a lottery. The only requirement is you have to live in North Carolina. That's it. Beyond that, charter schools are held to a higher standard. We can be closed down for poor academic results, poor fiscal management, poor operations, and compliance issues. I was very excited to tell you when I was here last, and I'm going to tell you again, we just received a 10-year charter renewal. Every charter school must go through a renewal process. And if the academic results, compliance issues, and funding issues are not stable, they may not get a renewal. We got a 10-year renewal. We were one of 3 charter schools in the state to receive a 10-year renewal last year. And we're here in your county. Are News employees compensated more than public school employees? No, they're not. We talked about this last time too. They're not. We try our best to pay them above the state scale, but it doesn't match what their district counterparts are making because they do not have the opportunity to receive the teacher supplement that public school teachers do. So, no, our teachers are not compensated more, they're compensated less, and yet we are 100% staffed. Okay.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yes.
So you're talking about state supplement? Because I know our dollars include, it's not spelled out, but our dollars to Johnston County Public Schools, some of that is used for supplement, but so you get it may not be coming to you as a supplement, but you're getting a percentage of that.
No, we get nothing.
They pull out the dollars that they use for supplement from what they send to you?
We do not get any funding for teacher supplements.
No, I'm not saying this may not be direct. I'm trying to figure out how, if we give them, I'm just going to say $1,000, and it includes, our $1,000 to them includes a teacher's supplement for them, you get a fraction of that $1,000.
No.
No, so you have to. We send them $1,000 for their budget, for the operations. You get some percentage of that, am I correct?
I don't think that's the way it happens.
No,
We give them so much per student, and then the supplement for the teachers is a separate line item.
It is.
It is? Okay. Okay, so if they ask for a supplement, that doesn't go to our per student
My
spending?
question would be, if they're a public school, why aren't they receiving these supplements?
Yeah, I thought if we gave them, again, I'm gonna say $1,000 per student, as they got a percentage, but they take out.
It's the educational part of the student. It doesn't go to the teacher's salary.
Okay, all right. That's good to know, because, yeah, I didn't realize they took that out before they sent
Yeah.
the money on. Okay, all right.
We're being
Proceed on then. You're educating me, so that's good to know.
All right. So when I was here last, I let you know that we are hoping to build a new lower academy building for our elementary school to the tune of $8 million, square footage of 25,813. And since then, interest rates have gone from 3.5 to 4%. And with our hope to acquire a USDA loan, we missed the fiscal year 24. Hoping to make the fiscal year 25. But we also know that prices don't go down these days, so that $8 million is probably closer to 9 at this point. These are just renderings. I shared them with you. That I think that they are lovely to see for a couple of reasons. There are no bells and whistles. Like I told you last time, it's classrooms and bathrooms. That's all it is, minimal office space. What we are trying to do is simply replace the square footage of the modulars that have been on our campus. Our students have been learning in modular buildings and trailers, if you will, since the school opened 18 years ago. So that's the second floor. Let me note, there's no cafeteria, there's no library, there is no gym, there is no flexible learning space, there are no conference rooms. It is just square footage of classrooms and bathrooms.
What was that square footage again?
25,813.
Okay. All right.
I was asked to do a comparison just to give you all some idea of what this looks like for us versus the current Swift Creek Elementary capital project comparison that is being supported by the 2022 bond. Our square foot's 25,813. Swift Creek is 115,877. Our capacity will be for 580 students. Swift Creek will be 939. Our cost is $8 million. Let's just round that to 9. Their cost is $48 million. Our price per square foot, between the two, there's a difference of $104.31. In terms of the price per child, ours is $13,793. Swift Creek is $51,118. That's a difference of $37,325. Square footage per student for us is 44.5. At Swift Creek, it's 123.4. It's a difference of 78.5 square feet per child. Now, I know that we would be an excellent steward of taxpayer dollars to support our capital project. And I know that because this is my 5th year at News Charter School, and every year we have turned a 6-figure surplus. We have figured out how to do more with less, and we're doing it year after year after year. But a surplus of $843,000 won't get us to $8 million anytime soon. And our kids aren't getting any younger. Let me also say this. The intention of charter schools was not to compete with district schools. I've heard a lot of comparisons about charter schools versus public schools. That whole narrative needs to be changed because charter schools are public schools. But we're intended to be a complement with an E, not an I, to district schools. We're going to offer something that they're not offering and vice versa. And that's okay. That's okay. But we can't keep comparing apples to apples because it's not apples to apples. I have an $8 million, $9 million budget. Our county school has a $107.5 million budget. I've got 928 students. They've got 37,000. I'm not asking for $300 million. I'm just asking for 8. When I was here last, I talked to you about how on average charter school students receive about 60 cents on the dollar that every district school student receives. And I wasn't able to break that down for you as clearly then, but I can now. So their budget was $107.5 million. We pulled the enrollment from niche, give or take. I'm not saying these are down to the penny, so just understand that. But on average, based on that information, each child that goes to a Johnston County public school is funded at about $2,900. Same child that goes to News. Our projected local funds of 1.8. There's 903 students at News that if they weren't at News would probably attend a Johnston County public school. That gets you a little over $2,000 per child. That's a difference of $823.31. Again, not down to the penny. This is the data that I had when I put this together. But you're looking at a savings of around $744,000 for students that go to News and are saving the county because those students aren't funded at the rate the public school students are funded.
Hey, can you go back? I just want to make sure I understand this. So the $104 million that we appropriated for Johnston County Public Schools included a teacher supplement.
Correct.
So that needs to be taken out of the 104 calculation so their number's not actually 28.
Okay, what was that?
I don't remember that number off the top of my head. I'm just trying to make sure I was not a.
We don't appropriate by line item.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to. I mean, it's very clarifying to if they take that out of what they send to you, which I did not understand that. So I'm just trying to.
Sure. So maybe
To make sure I understand all that, so we're not doing math.
It may reduce this 5%.
Yeah. Yes.
Something like that, but it still doesn't get into a teacher supplement.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my understanding that they don't deduct anything out. It's the $104 million that we appropriated is divided out per student, and that's where this per student funding comes in. Now, part of that in the public school system goes for teacher supplements, but it's the same dollar amount per student that you receive, because the public school passes through about $10 million to charters. If I'm incorrect, now tell me, but I've gotten that from like 4 or 5 different people, so I have to take that as a word. So is that not correct?
we do not receive money for cafeterias, food, buses, all of the above. I think there is a perception that it is divided equally. I could show you a formula that would prove that it's not.
Yeah, I think we all, even me, understand that they don't send on for cafeteria and buses, that's taken out of it. So it was just new to me about if they were taking teacher supplement off the top. So, but anyway, sorry. I think I understand it a little bit better now, but I just wanted to make.
It's not easy to understand, and the formulas are also not easy to understand. But what I would say is that generalizations about per student funding really shouldn't be generalizations.
Who does the formulas?
That comes from, that comes from the county. And they send it to us every month when they send our checks. There is a formula for how much they are sending us.
But we don't generate is that a state formula? I don't think we come up with a.
That's from the county. That's from every, that's from every county that sends us funds per child.
Okay, so this the public school.
Yes.
System. Okay, yeah, not when. So when you say the county, I'm thinking us, and I'm looking over there and they're going, no.
County meetings. I live in the education world, y'all.
Yeah. So counties, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure. Sure. And again, to be clear, because multiple counties send us funds, because we have 4, Johnston, Wayne, Wake, and Harnett, the narrative of the schools send us money really should be changed, because they're not sending us money. The money goes with the child. It's a pass-through. It was never theirs to send to us to begin with. It was the child's.
Yep, we agree with that.
Should be funded.
And they all should be funded equally. So, one of the things we talk about at Noose is we focus on every child every day. And I tell people, and this is how I operate, the only question that matters, truly, when we make any decision about education and children is this what's best for kids? Is this what's best for kids? And even if it's something we don't want to do, and it's hard, and we're concerned about backlash and how people are going to react, we do it anyway, because it's what's best for kids. And I can't tell you any clearer than that. That is how we operate at Noose Charter School. We do the hard things, we make the hard decisions, and we're getting the results. But don't take it from me. I brought another friend today, and he is going to come up here and share with you something that he wrote recently. DeMonte?
He's shaking his head no. And we won't have any cat questions for you. If you would, can you switch places so he can be in front of the microphone?
He's been at Noose Charter School since first grade. He is a senior. He graduates in 2025, and we are exceptionally proud of him, and I hope you enjoy what he has to share.
And again, what was your name?
My name is DeMonte Jackson.
Okay.
So I had to write a poem for English 4 class about a teacher that's special to you and stuff. So I wrote about Miss Blackwell.
And you wrote, is she here? Oh, Miss Blackwell, okay, okay.
In your office every day, greeting you with smiles and sometimes a blue face. Most of the time,
Time out. Can y'all cut the volume up?
We listen slow, speak slower.
Speak slower? Okay.
And some of us can't hear, so speak slow and loud.
Yes, sir.
It works for my wife most of the time.
In your office every day, greeting you with smiles and sometimes a blue face. Most of the time you're happy or you smile through the pain. You're like a golden sun shining bright in the days that rain. You keep everyone on task. That's why you have the job title you hold. You're like the mother some don't have, showing your heart that's full of pure gold. You come to work happy, or sometimes you feel under the weather, but you're still gentle and kind, like a bird with soft feathers. You buzz around every day, busy as a bee, making sure everything is in order and the school is safe for you and me. And when the last day comes and I have to leave Noose, I'll leave you with a hug because I wouldn't have done without you.
All right. I don't say that's better than any compliment we're ever going to be able to give you, so that was awesome. That was awesome.
I have a question. I wish I'd asked it before that presentation because I'd love to end on that. But you said your population was through lottery.
Mm-hmm.
You had 108 kids in EC. How do you get those 108 kids?
Through the lottery. Through the lottery.
Okay. Because some of the district kids, some schools get more than they want. I mean, you know, they don't get enough funding from the state to cover it. But the people want to go to that school.
Yeah.
But you get it through the lottery.
We have, every child that comes through our school is accepted through our lottery. And we don't know prior to meeting them on the first day sometimes what they need and how we can best serve them. But I will say it's important to note that last year our EC population was 85. This year it is 108. It's also important to know that we don't get paid for the 108 this year. It comes next year. So we're already short.
We understand.
But that comes from the
Federal.
state, federal, okay. Yeah. All right, just trying to-
And state, but all of the above, but not local.
Can you tell us typically how many people are in your lottery that you select that 108 from?
How many? Oh, gosh. Yeah, close to 1,000.
All right, any other questions? Again, thank you for the very informative and educational for some of us, or one of us, on that, to clarify some things for me.
Yeah.
And I think that we will continue to take this under advisement, but I would say keep us updated on things that are going on.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that.
And thank all of y'all for.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I didn't come down here this morning to get involved in cats. But
you did a great job.
But I just want to tell you, because I'm going to be gone in 3 months. Y'all won't have to fool with me anymore. But my belief in government and what I believe is, whether it's $1 or $1 million, it doesn't matter to me. Is it the proper role of government to do it? If it's the proper role of government to do it, we need to fund it. If it's not the proper role of government to do it, we don't need to fund it. This request here is a proper role of government. It's a proper role of government for many reasons. Number one, they are a public school. Number two, they showed with numbers, and you can argue 5% or 10%, however you want to do that. They are good stewards of taxpayers' money. And that's what we need to do, is be about making the best use of taxpayers' money. And that's why I don't want to give $1 away of taxpayers' money, but if I don't believe it's a proper government role, but I'll be willing to give $1 million if I believe it is a proper government role. And I just think, again, this gives me a chance to explain why sometimes I feel one way and sometimes I feel another way. But it all boils back down to, is it a proper role of government?
You know, we can take it under advisement, but we don't need to forget it, because they need to move forward with their planning. They can't really complete their planning wondering what's going to happen. And so I think we owe it to them to give them an answer at some point in time and not dilly-dally around forever. So we take it under advisement, but let's bring it back up.
I did some research and legal research. If we loan them $8 million, we would take they would sign a note, and we would take a deed of trust on their facility. Then, a couple of things can happen. Number one, if they want to refinance it, then we would give them a deed of release, and we would release the property from the deed of trust. If they don't refinance it, as long as the charter school is in business, as long as they stay in business, nothing happens. The property is in the name of the charter school. But if they go out of business before 2015, my good friend Skip Stam introduced a bill in the General Assembly. And before that, those assets would be part of the public school system. But that's not the way it is now. Today, if we loaned $8 million and News Charter went out of business, closed the school down, all those assets would belong to Johnston County. They would be county assets. So we are not at risk at all. Whatever money we put there, they will use it to educate children for less than what we pay in the government schools. If they, for some reason, go out of business and stop, then that asset becomes an asset of Johnston County.
All right. Anybody else? Again, thank you. And I think you've got your reminder that you come back to us and keep reminding us. All right.
Not a
Thank you.
problem.
Does a good job.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give us 10 minutes to leave.
That's right. Orderly fashion, single file, yeah. Somebody be the line leader out there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to greet this young man.
All right.
I'm glad to see you. How you hardly recognize you, man. Grown up. Good to see you. I told him how to make an paper airplane that he was building in 8th grade. He's a coach out there. He's David Grady, Michelle Grady's son, Tyler. Yeah. Eagle Scout. Good kid. Went to UNCW.
All right, the next item up is appointments, and each of the board members should have at your seat a ballot. We have, as we've kind of been prone to do for the last several years, is we have more applicants than we have positions available. We complete the ballots. We'll turn those in to our deputy clerk, and she will tally those and let us know, but
Where are we passing these in?
this way. So we have two boards that have one positions open, and we have more applicants. We have the Heritage Commission, which has one position open, and we have 3 applicants there. And then we also have, for the first time, our Fire Protection Service District Commission. There will be a total of 7 positions on that board. 4 of those positions will be 2-year terms, and the other 3 will be 1-year terms. So if you would complete your ballots and get them to our deputy clerk, and I will be making that announcement on who is selected at the beginning of our 6 o'clock meeting. With that, we'll go to our delinquent tax collection report. And she doesn't have wheels this time. She still needs some assistance. Jocelyn Andrews, good to see you again.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The first thing you have before you today is the July collections report. This is the very first collections report for this fiscal year. And as you can see, if you compare it to the previous year, even with y'all reducing the county tax rate, the levy still went up by almost, right at $2 million. So that just shows the continued growth in this county, how strong, the value is in this county and how it's continued to grow. So it's obviously going to be another busy year in the tax office as we work towards that. I'll be happy to take any questions related to that.
Any questions on that?
And one more piece as it relates to that collections report, that does not include the public service piece, which will not go, we've gotten those numbers, we've just gotten them on, I believe it was Friday, so that will increase, that will come in on the September collections report.
All right, and I believe you will continue on with the next item, proposed schedules of values, standards, and rules for the Johnston County's 2025 property tax revaluation.
Right. So it's that time again. So statutes are very clear what each county in North Carolina is required to do to value the property in that county. And we're on a schedule. It tells us how the reappraisal must go, and it tells us when the reappraisal must go. And before we can do that, the first piece of that is that this board must adopt a schedule of values. And part of that includes a public hearing. So now that I've said that, that's what statute requires. Our countywide reappraisal is set for January 1st of '25, which is very quickly approaching. We have been working very hard for probably over a year and a half now with a very qualified team our leadership is here today with both our vendor side and our in-house employee side that have been working on this reappraisal. And today, I have already provided to the clerk for each of them a schedule of values for 2025. There are 2 parts to this. One is the regular schedule of values, and one is the 2025 schedule of values. The other is a 2025 use value schedule. which is related to PUV. They're two separate portions, but it is in the same, it's in the same actual document, but they are two separate documents. I would suggest for those that might be hearing this today, I caution people to think that they can look at this and figure out what their value is going to be for their individual home or individual properties, because quite frankly, we don't even know where they are yet because we're still working on that, because this document is the foundation of everything that we will have to do. It will set the base values of a lot of things. Once this board decides to adopt it, it will set the base, and then that will go into our computer system, and then we will determine from that and specifics of each individual property that is being looked at as to what a property will be valued at. So again, they're welcome to look at this. There is a public copy that is in my office that is already at the counter and available for anybody who wishes to come in and view it. But this right here is just, I mean, they can't just go in and look up an address and figure out what the value is going. That is not what this does. But I asked, there's two pieces to this. Again, like I said, the statutory requirement is that this board hold a public hearing in relation to this. I ask that y'all do that at your regularly scheduled evening meeting on September the 16th, and then consider adopting this at your next morning meeting, which is October the 7th. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? All right, I'll turn over to the board for a motion.
I move that we have the public hearing at our September meeting, September 16th meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for that public hearing on the 16th at our 6 o'clock meeting. And any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So in 2 weeks, will you still be coming on those, or?
I don't know. We'll know
We'll
in
see,
2
we'll see,
weeks.
You'll see when the 16th
You know, I
is here.
hope not, but we'll know more
Well,
next week. How about
continue
that?
to recover, and it's quick and full.
You're going to be in your office.
No, I'll wait. Thank you.
All right, next item is manager reports and comments. And you're going to defer to Mr. McLam, okay? All right, Mr. McLam, would you tell us your request?
Yes. First of all, I want to say, give a shout out to our staff again for another Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. Thanks to Ben and Adam for doing a great write-up on us. They're truly the heartbeat of what we do, and we couldn't do the things that we do here today without our finance staff. So I just wanted to give them a shout out, and they've won another award, so kudos to those folks. What I'm here to request today, due to an upcoming retirement from somebody in our staff, we're looking to advance hire a senior accountant to replace that person. So it's just going to be a replacement of the person that's going to be retiring, but because we have to train that person, we need to go ahead and try to start the process of hiring a senior accountant. The other position is an actual new position. It's another purchasing agent. With the hundreds and hundreds of contracts, in addition to the other things that we have in our office, we feel the need that it would, we feel the need to have to hire another person to assist us. It will provide relief to Pam, who's our purchasing supervisor, and for Jennifer in her office as she reviews all these contracts and has to shuffle paper around. So we feel that is a need in our office as we're continuing to grow, and so we respectfully ask for that as well. We have funds in the budget. It's just a matter of getting the board's approval and getting the process started to look into hire some people.
Or is that something you need a motion on today? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion we do that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to hire a purchasing agent and senior accountant. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure you thought you were going to move too fast. In the budget process, there are several new positions outlined in that. Is this one of those positions, or is this outside that?
No, sir. Okay. No, we wanted to get through the process and see where it took us, and we're becoming quickly aware that we're going to have to hire somebody as far as the purchasing agent. The senior accountant is a replacement, so that's taken care of. But the purchasing agent, as we move farther into the process, we have the need.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Other than I will say my fast-moving days are over. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Thank you for your support.
Motion carries. All right, thank you. Anything else from you? Okay. We turn over to the board for their reports and comments. Commissioner Braswell.
You know, we had I thought an interesting thing that I think that Rick sent to us. The Triangle J Council of Government says that Triangle J says that they're going to
go with Central Pines Regional Council.
Well, that's probably somebody different. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, population in Johnston County is expected to be around 600,000 by the year 2050. That's phenomenal growth in a very short time. And, you know, one thing that makes us able to handle all that is the staff, our manager, our employees, and I think we need to just let them know how much we appreciate them. And so I just give a shout out to all of our staff and management and our employees. And it's just great to have such great people working for us.
All right. Commissioner Smith.
I have nothing.
All right. I'm going to get past you. Okay.
First week in September is always a big deal to me. Half a century ago or so, September 4th tomorrow was my last day in active duty in the Army. Somebody telling me where to go and what to do. But then several years later on September 4th, I got married. And there was, again, somebody telling me where to go and what to do. So big week. And then the day after tomorrow, I turned 75 years old.
Practically an old man.
Practically an old man. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
All right. Commissioner Stovall.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to give an update on the Johnston County 4-H Shooting Sports Club. I've been involved in this program for over 20 years now. And in 4-H, most of you are familiar with it. It's administered through the County Extension Office. But basically, 4-H clubs are all volunteer related. The shooting sports program has rapidly become the most popular part of 4-H nationwide. I think horses has fallen with a close second. You usually think about livestock at 4-H. Our program has been so popular, we've had to curtail the enrollment the last 3 years. We've got about 6 dozen kids on our enrollment list. The state has opportunity for tournaments. There's 3 regional tournaments, one in the east, one in the central part, one in the west. And the kids who qualify there go to the state tournament, which is coming up on September the 14th. We had 12 kids that went to the Eastern tournament. 10 of those kids qualified to go to state. That's pretty phenomenal for that group. They take the top 3 teams, the top 5 individuals, and then the next top 5 individual high scores. Out of that group, we had 5 individual gold medals, 1 team gold, 1 silver medal, and 1 team bronze. Our kids typically shoot target clays with shotguns, 22 rifles, 22 pistols, air gun, air rifle, which are precision type shooting, black powder, and recurve and compound archery. And they have match class, which has an increased level of difficulty. And we have sent kids to national competition every year for the last 8 years, and they have placed at national. So it's a very challenging program, and so we're going to take these 10 kids to the state, and I feel fairly certain that with the scores that we got, we'll probably have some kids that will place there. And it's a program that I would strongly encourage the county to do what it can to see that it continues here.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner, you're good? All right, I'll come back to you, Vice Chairman.
Nothing for today, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right.
You know, like so many programs, that program couldn't exist if not for volunteers like Bill.
Right.
And other folks to help out.
That is true. A couple of things I do want to, we were talking about thanks, and then our employees, our PIO staff of Ben and Adam, and we just completed the budget and priority series. Thank you for that, in addition to all the other things that have already been mentioned. Thank you for helping us attempt to get the message out to as many people as we can. And I will say the other thing that has been up and it's been discussed at the board, and we've had, I think, public comment, was on some of the, and I'm going to get this wrong, but the energy and some of the grants that are available for that. And Central Pines Regional Council is looking into that and see about opportunities that may be available for us to have them administer any funds through that. So just in the preliminary stages, but they will present something to us on that to take a look at and consider. And then the other thing I want to say, I was a bad Poppy B at our last meeting. I have a 3-week-old grandson, Nash Tyler, who was born at Johnston, or UNC Johnston in Clayton. So he's 3 weeks old now. So Nash Poppy B loves you. I apologize for being 2 weeks late in announcing it. So with that, I do believe we need to move on to a closed session.
All right. I move the board go into closed session for purpose of consulting with an attorney employed by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to NCG S 143-318-11A3.
Second. Second. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of going into closed session for the reasons stated, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. After a brief break to clear the room, we will go into closed session.